What's up, YouTube? It's me, the Artisan MC, and today I'm going to give you my reaction review to Lanterns on HBO MAX. Well, the wait is over for this show. No more speculating on what it is, what it's going to be, how bad or good it's going to be. It is here. And I just finished watching the first episode of Lanterns. And I have to say, the first episode made me interested. I did. I was interested in what was going on, trying to figure out the mystery that was why are these aliens here? What is exactly going on and what the rules of this world are. Now, for the most part, thanks to leakers and people talking about leaks online, the ending of this episode was already spoiled, which I do not appreciate. Now, I say I found that out not because I was trying to, just, listening to other content creators' content that was thrown in there, and it spoiled the ending of this episode. Had that not been out there already spoiled, it would have been a bit more shocking. This is why I do not like spoilers and people who leak information on shows I want to watch and have a normal reaction for. It is absolutely frustrating. It's basically sucking the air out of the room. Basically. And leaving a fart behind so you can breathe it. Now, show starts off in 1996 with a young John Stewart and his brothers in the family home watching the television, which is a 60 minutes interview with Hal Jordan, Earth's Green Lantern, the first human lantern, and getting to know a little bit of his backstory and whatnot, seeing him in the costume and everything. Now, this scene is not too bad. It doesn't get questionable until the boy's looking out for the parent to come home and John Stewart's father comes home. And apparently they're supposed to not be watching television. They're supposed to have their ass in bed. Well, they were up watching television. Dad comes in, figures out who does it. Everybody's standing at attention because John Stewart's father is a military man. He is a Marine. So the boys are snapped too, and John speaks on what he did and what he learned from the television. The other two boys get to go to bed. John has to go outside with his father. Now, this plays like it's going to be a Joe Jackson scene, like he's about to take this boy outside and beat the hell out of him because he is breaking the rules. Well, what happens is some of the most ridiculous parenting I've ever seen, which is he stands the boy to the garage and puts the apple on top of his head. And the boy willingly does it. Then he pulls out his service pistol and fires a shot, hitting the apple. Now, this is supposed to show that he is training his son not to be afraid. Okay. There's other ways of doing that, I think. Not being afraid of death or your father shooting you in the face with his service pistol is a way to combat some fear, but it's also some very negligent parenting that I'm not comfortable with showing a black man doing that kind of ridiculous parenting. John is not afraid. The apple is destroyed. Another hole is put in the garage. And his father congratulates him, gives him a hug. And they go in the house to get ice cream. Now, it gives the impression that John Stewart is being trained to be a Green Lantern from an early age, which is not necessarily how it works, but we'll leave that for a while. Now, flash forward about 20 years ahead to 2016, and you have John Stewart, played by Aaron Pierre, out waiting for his ride, and his ride shows up, and it's Kyle Chandler's Hal Jordan. He picks him up late, and they head off to do some more training. Now, through this conversation, you get a sense of what this John Stewart is at this point in time. Very controlled, military, kind of squared away. Still talks to Hal Jordan as sir. And in a sense, if you're following the character, this is his hero. This is somebody he's been watching since 1996 for the better part of 20 years and trying to train himself to be like this person. And now he's working with him. How? We don't know. It's never explained. But he is there to be trained by Hal Jordan. And they've been doing this for about 2 months or so. Now, we get to the scene that was witnessed in the trailer where Hal Jordan puts the ring on the dashboard of the car and jumps out the car and leaves John Stewart to go over a cliff with the ring inside the car. Well, seeing how the scene plays out, at 2 months of usage or 2 months of training, John Stewart is able to put on the ring and create a barrier field or force bubble to keep him from dying from the car crashing to the bottom of the ravine. Oh, so he can use it, but it is not his yet. Hal still claims ownership of the ring, but John can actually use the ring if he puts it on, which is not exactly how I thought it worked. But it is what it is. John catches up to Hal and gives him back his ring. Now, while John is on his little stroll back to the taco stand that Hal told him to meet him at, the ring pops a message out, and the message is from 10 years previous. And it is Hal Jordan with some information for himself. And it's basically like a mental backup in the ring. But the last time it was backed up was 10 years ago. So there's a whole swath of time that we will not know what Hal was going through, even though this version of the 2016 version of Hal remarks about how much he's been through. Okay. Well, once John catches up to Hal at the taco shop and they start talking, John actually tells Hal the message that he had from the ring. And Hal takes the ring and flies off to Hale, Nebraska. Now, John has to find his own way there, gets a flight, uses the rental car, gets there, and apparently he was only 6 hours away, thankfully, and finds Hal sitting in the bleachers of a high school football field where there has been a mass shooting. Well, little banter ensues in meeting the police sheriff. And Hal lets it be known that this shooting is odd because these people that are dead are aliens. And one is still nearby. They don't know why these people are here. No one in this town has seen them before. But yet and still, here they are dead on the field. Now, through a little banter with Hal and the police sheriff, John actually spooks the one person that's still there, and they give chase. Through a little chase through the high school, the culprit is captured by John and the sheriff and taken to jail. Now, in the next part of this, you get Hal's version of his origin, which is kind of the comic book origin mixed with some of the newer telling that they have in this story of being taken to Avansur, who had crash landed in Hale, Nebraska, all these years ago, and that was when Hal got his ring. And so whenever aliens show up on Earth, the ring kind of reminds him where to go, and he goes to check it out. Not the men in black, but the guy in green. And this is why Hal has come back to Hale, Nebraska, because there's something wrong with this town. Something. Now, because Hal wants to interrogate the suspect that they captured and the police sheriff will not let him, he decides to piss off some of the locals and get into a bar fight so he can get put in jail next to the guy that they captured. While he's doing this, Jon Stewart actually is chatted up by an oldish looking woman in the bar. And she seems to know a little bit more than she is letting on, a little bit too much, because she knows who he is, knows who the buddy is. And none of this is actually throwing her. Well, she gives John a little nod and tells him to meet him in his truck or whatever. And John goes out to the truck and has sex with this chick in her truck. He just showed up to town. He banging this chick out. Okay. Now, common sense says this is going to be significant. This will turn out to be significant. And significant in the problem sense, not in the beneficial sense. Well, when Hal gets arrested, he does not get put into the cell with the guy they captured. No, the sheriff puts him in a broom closet for the night until he's arraigned. And the next morning, while in court for arraignment, making a mess of it and not being given any leeway by the judge on the case, a man strolls in as an attorney and takes Hal on as a client to represent him, gets him bail, and gets him released. And the only caveat for this is that he has to meet with the attorney's father, Mr. Mitchum. The attorney turns out to be the sheriff's husband. Small town, everybody's related. Hal doesn't trust the situation, but he's going along with it, and so is John. We get out to Mitchum's ranch, and you see militia types hanging out. A lot of white boys with AR-15s and flak vests and stuff like that in the wide open area. Running drills, doing tactical stuff. Not that big of a deal. Then we are introduced to Mr. Mitchum, who knows everything about Hal and John. And it's making them dinner, and they're going to have a conversation. And Mr. Mitchum also knows about the aliens that were in town. Now, I understand this whole alien thing is supposed to play on the actual illegal alien stuff that's happening in the world right now on the news. I'm kind of over that in modern media. trying to beat me over the head with this message, but I'm ignoring it in this show right at the moment. Aliens coming to Earth can be a problem if they down here on some hostility. So I don't think any human should be opposed to that stance, that you should probably be prepared. Since you already know in this world, there is a Green Lantern who got his ring from space and goes to space quite often. Aliens are a thing. So I talk for a little bit and find out that Mr. Mitchum can arrange for Hal to be able to talk to the suspect. And he will talk to his daughter-in-law and impress upon her that she needs to let them do that. The next morning, or before they get to the next morning, when Hal and John are leaving and Mr. Mitchum is, talking to them, wishing them well, he makes a reference to John, who is a vegetarian, and lets him know that it's okay to eat off another man's plate or eat off another man's grill. Because earlier, before dinner, John is out in the yard, giving some pointers to the sheriff's son, Noah, about throwing a football. And Noah's grandmother comes home. And Noah's grandmother is the woman that John was banging out at the bar last night. Mr. Mitchum's wife. You knew this was going to be a problem, and she knew too damn much. We don't get to see the awkward dinner, which would have been really interesting to see, where you could have got more acting involved. We don't get to see that dinner. We just find out that Mitchum knows that John slept with his wife and is somewhat chill about it. Doesn't make a scene or anything like that, but just drops a little subtle hint like, I know what you did. Doesn't say he's pissed off, doesn't say anything, but he knows. Fine. The next morning, John and Hal get to talk to the suspect, and Hal starts talking to the suspect, asking him more involved questions, the type of questions you would ask, I don't know, a geek or somebody who says they're a geek, to see how deep that shit goes. And discovers, like he had already been saying, that this suspect is in fact an alien, because he does not know anything outside of what is basic to this human being. Doesn't know anything about Harry Potter or anything like that. There's no knowledge to be pulled from there. Now, what this alien ends up telling Hal is their mission is secret, and so secret that it could start a war. And that if they are found out, their body is laced with a type of explosive that they can set off with a thought. This alien knows how the Green Lantern ring works, how it functions. And before giving up any more evidence, when he pisses off Hal, he does, in fact, blow himself up. Now, Hal bubbles up the explosion, saves himself, John, and the sheriff, and directs the blast outside through the wall. So the suspect is now dead. We get a second time jump at this point to 2026 and discover that John is coming back to Hale, Nebraska. And you see that he has a better relationship with the sheriff, that they're very friendly. And he asks about her son. Her son is older now. It's 10 years later. All is good. And they're back at the football field. And no one is there this time. Beforehand, the first time 10 years ago, there's all kind of cops and everything there. This time, there's nobody there. It's just her and him. And they walk into the football stadium, walk up to the bleachers in the same spot that John and Hal had sat 10 years earlier. And Hal is sitting there in the snow, frozen, with a bullet in his head and no ring on his finger. And that is how the episode ends. Now, this would have been impactful had it not been spoiled. Because no one would expect that they would kill one of the leads in the first episode of the series. Nobody would expect that. Unless they got to see it and then they came back online and told everybody about it. This is what is irritating about this part of culture to me, is people don't know how to keep their mouth shut and let other people have their own experience with this. In the end, I thought the episode was interesting. The story that was being told does make me want to know more about what's going on here, what's going on in this town. Why does he keep coming here? The shifting in time frames is fine for me. I don't have a problem with that because I don't have a slow, inactive mind that can't keep track of different time periods. It's fine. I do not have TikTok brain. So I'm curious to see where this show goes from here. I am. If it's going to bounce back and forth between two different time spans, fine. It'll play like Memento in a way. That you were getting clues in the past that leads you to why this person is dead in the future and who possibly killed them, which means you should have to pay attention to the storytelling in this. Because not everybody can write something like that. Can't. They're not clever enough. So I will be watching it to see how it plays out. So for the first episode, I thought it was a decent episode. Nothing really blew me away. It did make me laugh. But it was mostly spoiled because some people don't know how to shut their damn mouth. So my reaction to seeing Hal dead at the end was not there. I'd already heard about it. So I had no reaction for that. But my emotions are a bit stirred from understanding that the person who said this spoiled this shit. Spoiled it. Spoiled the whole episode. Why? Why bother spoiling an episode so nobody else can enjoy it? Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. So, but with that said, the episode was good. It worked. I will be tuning in next week to see where it goes and what other nuggets of information have been spoiled already. But so far, so good. And that's it. That is my review of season 1, episode 1 of Lanterns pilot. Like, share, subscribe, support the stream if you feel so inclined. And if you want to check out my full watch along, check out Shop Talk with Artisan MC on Patreon. And with that, I will see you next time. Peace.